Xcel says it'll cut power to 9,000 customers in northern Colorado tomorrow. They're worried strong winds could knock down power poles and start fires. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Kim Christensen. The planned power shutoff is set to start at 8 a.m. Here's a look at the map Xcel sent out of the impacted area. The utility plans to cut power to Larimer and Weld counties, including parts of Fort Collins. It says weather conditions are forecasted to improve about 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. But getting the lights back on, that could take hours or even days. That was the case during Xcel's last planned power shutoffs in December, but those were on a larger scale.
There are a few schools in that outage area that will be closed tomorrow. Poudre School District has announced classes canceled at 4 of its buildings. Weld RE4 is going to close 1 school. All those are listed there on your screen. For more on the forecast that is raising all of the concern about wildfires tomorrow, let's bring in 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Chris?
Yeah, we're seeing the beginning of that concern right now, Kyle, as a sharp cold front moving through within the last 2 hours across northeastern Colorado. That has brought in some dramatically colder temperatures. It's a very sharp wind, as well as that wind that, of course, will be the main concern. You can see it here on radar. This is that cold front right in there that moved through from north to south, moving through downtown Denver around 8:30 p.m. local time, about an hour and a half ago. And that front bring with it one of those really noticeable fronts, kicking up dust and dirt and making things really on the cold side and kind of smelly outside as well. 40+ mile-an-hour winds, 62 mile-an-hour wind gusts now in Colorado Springs as that front pushing its way through El Paso County. Today, top wind gusts, all these within the last 2.5 hours, 74 mile-an-hour gust in Akron, 61 in Fort Morgan at the airport, 55 mile-an-hour peak gust. And at 8:35 p.m., it was 52 in Denver, now 34. But that wind is going to be the big concern as we head into tomorrow with a fire weather warning covering most of northeastern Colorado. When will that wind relax, and how does it look for the Broncos game on Saturday? Details in just a few minutes.
Surveillance technology helped investigators make an arrest in the 5-alarm fire at an apartment block under construction in Denver recently. An extensive network of surveillance cameras led them to a 38-year-old named Tony Becerra. Investigators say they tracked Becerra to and from that construction site on Leetsdale that burned earlier this month. An ATF special agent said in court paperwork that the suspect was caught on camera 34 times over the span of 2 hours. That includes when he walked to a nearby restaurant, Taste of India, following the fire. Surveillance video from that restaurant watched him go into the bathroom. When he came out, he was wearing different clothes, and they got a clear look at his face.
We're excited, like seeing the footage. They're like, I think we got him. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And they told me, this might be the guy we might be, we were looking for.
The arrest warrant for Becerra says ATF investigators then ran that surveillance video from the restaurant through 2 facial recognition programs, and they got pings from a database tied to the DMV as well as the Colorado Bureau of Investigation.
2 people who claim to have gotten regular gas contaminated with diesel at separate locations affected by last week's mix-up are now suing Sinclair and some of the retailers. A man who filled up at the River Point Costco in Sheridan and a woman who filled up at a King Soopers in Aurora filed those civil suits. Both request class action status and seek damages beyond the repairs that they had to make, like the cost of a rental car, the time they spent driving their damaged car to the shop. The state says they've received roughly 600 complaints from people saying they had engine trouble after filling up on Wednesday and Thursday of last week. They traced the problem back to a Sinclair gas station terminal. Sinclair assures us any contaminated fuel has been cleaned up and it is now safe to fill up in the Denver metro area. We have a list of all the stations that got the contaminated gas on 9news.com.
A second child has died from the flu in Colorado this season. State public health leaders say the child was high school age from outside the Denver metro area. The first death was an elementary schooler who was inside the metro area. Flu season has hit the state early and hard this year. According to the CDC's latest update on the virus, flu activity in Colorado is considered very high. The doctors will tell you it's not too late to get a flu shot even at this point. State data shows just more than 28% of Coloradans have gotten vaccinated this season. 2 of Colorado's largest hospital systems are no longer providing gender-affirming care for patients under the age of 18. They're worried about pressure from the Trump administration.
And tonight, 9 News reporter Ria Shaw is following up on what that decision means for families. Ria?
Yeah, many of those families were too afraid to speak publicly right now, but I did speak with a Coloradan who went through this years ago, and with an advocacy group hearing directly from families who are affected today.
So I have a transgender son. The journey was,
Complicated.
oh, it's like you know me.
But it was a journey Becky Logston and her family made it through with each other when her son transitioned 4 years ago.
To have to deal with what families are having to deal with today, I don't think we would have had the same outcome.
Earlier this month, Children's Hospital Colorado's Gender-affirming care department changed their voicemail greeting.
Children's Hospital Colorado has had to make the difficult decision to suspend medical gender-affirming care for patients under the age of 18.
Denver Health confirmed it's done the same, both hospitals citing a federal investigation that threatens their funding.
Oh, I would have been just devastated to have a kid who is maybe thriving for the first time in their life and doing well, and to have that ripped from you and stopped and unsure of their future has just got to be, as a parent, terrifying.
I think that personally it was a kick in the gut.
Mandy Moore said her advocacy organization started getting calls immediately. She's the CEO of Rocky Mountain Equality.
Have any youth experienced physical harm at this point? I believe the answer to be no. Has there been great mental distress that leads to sickness? Yes.
Mandy says families with the financial means may be able to find private care, but those relying on public hospital systems are facing the most disruption.
Our case managers are currently working with parents to find new providers.
The care may be paused, but their fight isn't over.
I will stand in the gap for those kids and fight for what's right for them too.
Again, gender-affirming care is still legal in Colorado, but these patients will have to find providers outside of those two biggest hospital systems in the state. Rhea Jha, 9 News.
Colorado's governor gave his 8th and final State of the State speech today, focusing on his legacy more so than proposals for his last year in office. Governor Jared Polis, Democrat, did not go after the Trump administration like so many other Democratic leaders are doing, but he did list ways that Trump has retaliated against Colorado specifically, withholding disaster aid, vetoing a clean drinking water project, and freezing child care assistance. Our Marshall Zellinger asked the governor what he plans to do if Trump keeps punishing Colorado.
You know, we have over 50 pending legal cases against the federal government. We've actually won on some of them where funding has been released and unfrozen.
So you're just relying on the AG to sue?
Well, I also, of course, call on the administration to stop illegally withholding funds. I mean, I've said that many times. It's possible that some of them will ultimately be found legal, but I do believe that the vast majority of the funding cuts either have been prevented by courts or will be because they simply are not consistent with the law.
We asked the governor if he had any regrets. He told us that he should not have signed a bill to give municipalities control over the minimum wage without a carve-out for businesses with tipped workers. Last year, the legislature passed a law to slow the minimum wage increases for workers who get tips. The governor told us he doesn't regret any of his vetoes, except perhaps not issuing more of them.
There is a new system designed to alert people to potentially dangerous situations in Douglas County. It's replacing one that was the target of a cyber attack. The sheriff's office, along with Castle Rock, Lone Tree, and Parker police departments, will now use DUGCO Alert to warn of wildfires, evacuations, shelter-in-place orders, and similar situations. The system replaces Code Red. The county terminated its contract with Code Red in November after a data breach. If you had Code Red previously, you will not be automatically enrolled in this new system, so you need to sign up. And you can do so by texting DUGCO Alert to 67283. That's right there on your screen.
A new state Supreme Court ruling has weakened some cities' ability to punish shoplifters as they see fit. It says that local governments can't have longer penalties than the state for the same crime. State law says that a thief needs to steal $2,000 worth of stuff for it to be a felony. That overrides rules in Aurora, which say that somebody who steals more than $100 worth of merchandise can get a minimum of 3 days in jail. The business owners that we talked with today said they're not sure that more arrests are going to keep people from stealing.
The piece that I hear frustration from business owners on is the folks that are like, oh, this guy's been arrested 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 times for the same thing, and it doesn't stop, right?
What they're looking for is increased penalties. In fact, the mayors of Denver, Aurora, and Colorado Springs have all asked the governor to work with them in the legislature to bring down that $2,000 felony threshold for retail theft.
We're a long way from Buffalo, but the Bills Mafia is alive and well in the Mile High City.
Yes, indeed. 9 News reporter Shalima Maharaj joins us from outside the stadium tonight after visiting some of the spots where Bills fans gather, no matter who they're playing, Shalima.
That's right. There's a ton of excitement for this divisional round matchup. And of course, if you are a Broncos fan, you are hoping for some redemption this time round. If you're a Bills fan, you're essentially hoping for a repeat performance.
Probably like 13 group chats right now with different friend groups and family groups.
Anthony Marticello will be pacing a lot over the next couple of days.
So when I was a kid, it was just known that the Bills are good and the Bills win and the Bills lose the big one.
He's hoping for a reversal of fortunes this weekend.
When we started Westfax, it wasn't really in our plans to be a Bills backers organization or a Bills backers bar.
But it's here at his Lakewood brewery where his passion for football collides with his passion for pints.
We had some good regulars from Western New York as well who kind of poked the bear and convinced me to do it.
With the divisional round kicking off on Saturday at Mile High.
I don't think there's any bad blood between the two fan bases. I don't feel any animosity like I do like the Patriots or the Chiefs, right?
Marticello is getting ready to dish out a taste of home.
So we partner with a food truck called Nickel City Provisions. So he makes wings, beef on whack, pizza logs.
But he's not smashing any tables just yet.
But my wife, who she up until recently was doing all our social media, she said she started putting, I wasn't reading our posts all the time, she started putting that if the Bills go to the Super Bowl, the owner is going to jump through a table.
Now that caught him by surprise. Since then, he's had a change of heart.
I'll go through a table if the Bills win the Super Bowl.
There will be some people holding you to that.
There's already people holding me to that, so it's no big deal.
So, of course, when these two teams met the last time in the playoffs, it did not end well for the Broncos. Of course, they went down 31-7. So, of course, a lot of fans here hoping for a very, very different outcome.
I'll take a pizza log, though. Sounds good.
They're fantastic. Picture like
Okay.
a Chinese egg roll filled with like 250-degree pizza stuff on the inside, Shalima. It's wonderful.
That's a wonderful description there. I feel like every time I've heard anybody talk about beef on weck or they're talking about buffalo wings, I mean, my mouth is watering right now. I am starving, so I feel like that's going to be like the midnight snack tonight.
Right, but I mean, here's the deal, Shalima, right? I mean, we grew up on either side of Western New York, you in Canada and me in Western New York, and we both know that food is for real, and that food's for anybody. You don't have to be a Bills fan to enjoy that food. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, Shalima, thank you.